Hey everybody, welcome back to the Daily Bern. Come on in, this is the war room of the political revolution. What this is a daily inspirational, motivational show for all of us that are out there fighting every day in this political revolution in order to change our government into one that works for the people. Please like and share and comment, participate in the show. Any interaction helps us do better in the algorithm and get out to more viewers. And I would like this show to grow and get out as far as possible. We need this message to spread. You know, we need somebody out there telling us that we can do this. I'm so tired of the negatives, so help spread this show. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for coming back to the Daily Bern. I'm your host, Sean Yankee, and today I wanted to start the episode off with a quote. It goes, "The richer we have become materially, the poorer we have become morally and spiritually. We have learned to fly in the air like birds and swim in the sea like fish, but we have not learned the simple art of living together as brothers." Now, that's by Martin Luther King Jr., and he's right. That's where our strength is, and that's what the powerful rely on. We have a lot of difficulty uniting. That is what keeps us weak. We need to get past that. We need to realize and be able to start looking at things big picture instead of allowing ourselves to be manipulated so easily and broken up into little groups. And that's dangerous, and what ends up happening is you create an echo chamber, you close yourself off, and you end up protecting yourself from these polar views or polar opposite views to yours. You don't learn anything and you end up trapped in a circle and progress doesn't happen. And that's what they're counting on. They it's by design. They play up to it. There are certain issues, and right now the biggest one that I face, that I run into constantly, is gun control. Because our particular candidate, Bernie Sanders, is calling for a ban on assault weapons, which I have no problem with. But a lot of people that are fervent believers in the Second Amendment have major problems with Bernie wanting to ban assault weapons. And they don't feel like they can give an inch, because if they give an inch, they feel like they'll take a mile. We let them ban assault weapons and they'll ban handguns. And then you get in this whole hornet's nest. You disturb this whole hornet's nest of problems when you start pulling back layers like that. And that's what they count on. That's why they make big issues and big deals out of stuff like gun control. They are never coming for your guns. I really don't believe your guns are in any danger. And I believe even if Bernie got elected, or what show am I on? When Bernie gets elected, he's not coming for your guns either. What he wants, and it's a negotiation. We want something to be done. And a lot of us realize that what needs to be done with this mass shooting problem in America, which we do have a problem, but I think it goes much deeper than guns. It's just there needs to be a dialogue. There needs to be a discussion, and you don't come into a negotiation already backing down. So, and again, I can't speak for Bernie, but to allow yourself to get hung up on this issue to where you can't support the candidate because of this one thing, I don't think that's a dangerous way to think. You got to look at, all right, this is the problem. This is what we're facing. What is the best way to tackle that problem? What is my best route forward? What incorporates the most towards progress? You're never going to agree 100% with the plan, ever. You know, like my friend Clinton, for example, we debated over Trump. He supports Trump. He watches this show sometimes. Hopefully, he sees this episode. But um, we agree on almost everything else, but we disagree on politics. And you know, a good example is Clinton on the Second Amendment, and that's one of the big reasons why we disagree. But we agree on the big picture. We see the problems. We see how bad things are. We see that we're in this mess. We know something needs to be done. We just can't agree on what. And that's why we're weak. That's what makes us weak. That's what the powerful depend on, is for us to stay broken up into groups. If we ever unite, there will be nothing that they can do. Their whole system will collapse. It's all that's holding it up is there's a meme that I really like, and it shows them playing chess on the backs. The game board is on the backs of the people. And it says all we have to do to end their game is to stand up. It really is that simple, you know? And that's what I say here every day. And that's what Bernie says at every stump speech and every time he gets a chance to say it. When we come together, we win. It's always been that way. It has been that way since the beginning of time. Those that have power over us are few. We are the many. We outnumber them. You know, the people that we're really talking about, the people that have all this control and all this power, I could fit them in this room. There's not that many of them. You know, the world is being destroyed, but the people destroying it have names and addresses. We know who's doing it. We know who our enemies are. But what they do, and it's genius really, is they convince you that your enemy is your neighbor. You know, your enemy is an immigrant on food stamps. You know, I don't even know if that's possible, but I've heard it. I've never investigated it because I don't care. I don't look at this is all over the place. Again, I'm going to explain why real quick, just breaking the fourth wall. I couldn't get started. I was staring at a cursor just flashing on the screen, so I just tore the band-aid off and ripped it off and just started talking. But the point I'm trying to make is your enemy is not your neighbor. We all have the same enemies. You know, these predators, the ultra rich, they are all our common enemy. Whether you support Donald Trump or you support Bernie Sanders, we have the same enemies. You know, we're being misled to believe that we have all these different disagreements and all these different reasons why we shouldn't agree with each other and why we shouldn't come together. When the fact and the truth of the matter is, that is all by design to keep us weak and keep us divided. And if we just rise above that, enough of us, and stand united, we could make this happen. We can do this, you know, but we need to wake more people. And I think where we need to focus is on non-voters. You know, that's the group that gets ignored. And people don't focus there enough. I really don't think we do. You know, these people like I'm using Clinton a lot today, but let me use Clinton for an example one more time. We agree on a lot. We have a lot in common. But I don't know that he'll ever come over to my side, you know, and be a Bernie supporter. And I know that I will never go to his side and be a Trump supporter. So our teams seem pretty well set. But these non voters, you know, we can get them excited. We can get them wanting to join the movement. And I think that's where we focus, you know. And I'm going to stop focusing on the dissenters, the people that used to be Bernie supporters. They used, and they still do, make me the saddest because they were in this fight with us. And now, for whatever reason, they have splintered off and we've lost them. They may come back, you know, and there are some that I got to know personally that it deeply bothers me that they are dissenters now. But again, they have picked their team as well. And you know, these quitters that I talk about, that I try to stay in their feeds, I'm going to stop focusing on that so much too, because they have also picked their team. But 60% of the population, voters, people that could vote, do not vote. That's where I think we hit. That's who we inspire. We go after them, you know. And if we can wake enough people, what do they say? They're 3% of the takes 3% of a population to have a successful revolution. If we can wake enough people and we can stay united and we can do this. We can win. We can make real change happen. And once we elect Bernie Sanders president, that's going to cause a wave of inspiration. That's going to be a nuclear strike to the establishment, and things are really going to get going. We're going to reach a tipping point. We are going to get to a point where their whole charade breaks down. Their whole system's going to come crumbling down. We are already poking holes in it. We are already weakening it. We are already doing it. All we have to do is keep going. Keep doing all that we can. Now, I include a link in the description of every Daily Bern to berniesanders.com. Please go there. See if there's any way that you can help out the campaign. Maybe try volunteering. There's tons of ways to volunteer or donate any amount. Um, but that would be great. While you're there, though, get a bumper sticker. I ask everyone to get a bumper sticker. Put that on your car. That is a really easy way to support the campaign by doing literally nothing that you weren't already going to do. You're just driving around. And I get excited when I see one. I think if you're honest with yourself, you do too. People like seeing that. So get that. It's only a couple bucks and it does so much good. That's what we need to do. That's the key, I think. I think we need to stop with the confrontation. Stop arguing. Stop bickering. You know, find common ground in those situations. Talk about things that you do agree on, you know, and then work on inspiring others, leading by example, being the change that you want to see in the world starting right now. We don't have to wait. There's no right opportunity coming along to start doing this. We start doing this right now. Our job and Bernie's job are very different. Bernie is a politician. Bernie has to play by certain rules and do things a certain way. We have more freedom. We can zig and zag. We can start doing this right now. We don't have to wait. We have big changes we need to do, but we can make little changes now, you know. And let's stop worrying so much. I know I need to listen to that advice myself because there's a lot at stake here. We are in a very big fight. We're in a revolution. This is a war. It's just not like any other fight that you're used to. And it's not a fight we've ever been taught about or prepared for. So it's a weird fight, but it is a fight. This is the way peaceful revolution takes place. We are well on our way and we're doing great. We are actually winning. We have tremendous momentum. We are the front runners. They've been hiding that fact since the beginning. But they're finding it harder and harder to sell, mostly because they've destroyed their own credibility. People are seeing through the charade or the facade that the media puts up, and they realize that it's not to be trusted. The media is just weaponized propaganda. They lie and misdirect the public. That is their entire purpose. That is all they do. We have to fight that. We need enough people to realize that this is our fight, to own that 100%, and to do all that they can. When we get to that point, we will be unstoppable. There will be nothing they can do to stop us. We will overwhelm them with our numbers. I hear about it all the time. What are you going to do when they rig it again? We better not allow them to do that again. And when I say we, I'm talking about everybody. That was an election rigged in the United States of America. Just because it wasn't done in your political party doesn't mean it doesn't affect you. It happened. You need to care about that. Left, right, whatever politics you have doesn't need to matter. An election was rigged in this country. Voting needs to matter. If we let that happen again, we deserve anything that happens to us, anything and everything. And I will lose all faith in politics. Matter of fact, I didn't have any faith in politics. I don't have faith in politics. I believe in Bernie Sanders. I believe in this revolution. I believe in what we're doing right here. I would not vote for anyone else. No one else inspires me to vote. And I'm sure that I'm not alone in that. And there are a lot, like I said, there are a lot of these non-voters that need to be inspired. And if their eyes were opened in the ways that ours were, could be inspired and could be brought into our movement. And that's where we need to focus, and we do that through inspiration and leading by example and informing people, getting the message out, being the media, doing those things. That's what we do. Talking to people, taking those opportunities as they arise and creating them with things like the bumper sticker or wearing your Bernie gear out in public, things like that. That's what doing all you can means. It doesn't mean waking up in the morning and canvassing all day, setting up a table, phone banking for 3 hours, doing texting in the middle of the night, and waking up in the middle of the night worried about climate change. It just means caring about it, making it important, and setting an example going forward, being an example, and doing all you can to help move us forward. We are all one part of a giant movement. Just do what you can. Focus on your strengths and what you can bring to the movement. And that's all you can do. You do that, I do that, enough of us do that, and we will win. Not Bernie, us. We're going to do this. This is our fight, and we are doing amazing. We are kicking ass. We're going to do this. We are going to see this through, and we are going to win. I firmly believe that, and I am not an optimist. This is the way change happens. We are on the right path. I never thought I would see this, and now that it's happening, I have to do all I can. And I'm asking you to do all you can. And if we all do that, we are going to win. And, this doesn't end when we elect Bernie. We know that. We keep going, we keep going, we keep fighting. That's what it's going to take to make this kind of change happen. That's what's going to take to get what we want. That's what it's going to take to move this movement forward and to make real change and to give future generations a future. We're destroying the planet. We're 10 years away from climate catastrophe. We're heading for economic collapse as well. Most economic advisors and experts will tell you that things are going to get bad. They are going to get way worse than they are unless something's done. And no one is coming to save us. There is no hero going to ride in the sunset and save us, including Bernie Sanders. We do this ourselves. This is our fight. We do this. And that's what this show's message is about. One, that we own this. We take full responsibility for it. People don't like to do that. They don't want to do that. It's too big. Like, I don't want this problem. I didn't cause this. This is not my mess. This is absolutely our mess. It's absolutely our mess. That sucks. We're responsible for it. We have to fix it. Otherwise, it don't get fixed. So let's do it. Let's put in the work. Let's make our minds up that we are going to make this happen and then will it into existence. Don't let anything stand in your way. Don't think like a quitter. Think like a winner. Think like a warrior. We're coming to take this. Not asking nicely. We're demanding it. Us versus them. There's way more of us. All we have to do is stay united, stay strong. And they're weak. There's nothing they can do to stop us. Thanks for coming to the Daily Bern today. And if you shared, thank you very much for doing that. I really appreciate that. I really want this to get out and grow, and it has been. The response to the show has been amazing. Yesterday, we celebrated our 100th episode. Some of you were here for that. I was really excited, and I spent a lot of time working on that episode and polishing it and getting it right. And I was really proud of it. I can't believe we've done 100 of these. This is episode 101, and we'll have another big celebration at 200. But as I announced yesterday on the 100th episode, This is going to be a permanent show. This is sticking around. So it will get better over time. It will get fancier. It will get more streamlined. Eventually, we will go back to being live, which I'm excited about once we get some new equipment and stuff like that. I'm going to work on getting better lighting in here, professional lighting. I'm going to really polish it up because I want this to be a permanent show. This show helps me. I get something from this show. I'm never going to promote this show uh, for my own gain. It's always going to be a show that's for the revolution. I look at it as my way of volunteering, you know, my own creative way of giving back. So I don't want anything personal from this show. And what it's giving me is growth as a person because I have to get myself ready to do this. I have to get prepared to come and talk to you guys. And having to put myself in a certain mindset to do these shows has really started to change the way I think because I've had times where I didn't think I could do this. I just been laying in the dark. There was a time when I was in tears trying to do this because I didn't want to give up. I didn't want life to beat me. This is hard sometimes because, like I said, I have to prepare. I have to get my mind right, but that is helping me grow. So I am getting something out of this show without ever asking for anything. And I'm going to grow a network around it. You know, I just feel like I'm getting a lot out of this as well, and I hope you are too. I hope you're enjoying what we're doing here because that's what I'm trying to do is build something that can be a hub for us, a place of inspiration where we can inspire each other and encourage each other and have an open dialogue moving forward in this fight because this is a frustrating fight. It's a long fight and it's different. Like I said, it's different from anything we've ever been involved in before. So I wanted there to be a support system there, and I hope to help create that. But real quick, let's get into the news. I picked out some news stories to cover with you guys, so let's head on over to the newsroom and look at those. All right, so I kind of lied. I'm like the teacher that brought the TV in. We're going to watch a little video. Killer Mike interview Bernie Sanders about a few topics, and I thought we'd watch that together. So let's start that now.
Should I refer to you as Mike or Killer Mike? Mike, good.
Mike is fine. That's what you call me.
That's what I do call you. I don't, this killer business. It's me.
Oh man, I hope y'all got some B-roll. You are a person who I've known for the last 3 years, 4 years of my life. I can honestly say that your integrity propels and compels me to keep supporting you. Your policy is the only policy that I have seen in my lifetime that matches up with the policy of what was the Poor People's Campaign. It is the only policy that matches up with what's fair and just.
Let me just pick up on one point you made. And a lot of people don't know this. At the end of his life, not only did Dr. King get murdered in Memphis, where he was not on a quote-unquote civil rights effort, he was standing with some of the most exploited black workers in America.
Absolutely.
And he said, I'm going to go down there and help you form a union and get decent wages and decent working conditions. That's where he was murdered. And at that same time, what he was also doing is trying to put together a poor people's campaign.
Absolutely.
Bringing together blacks and poor whites and Native Americans and Latinos to saying, you know what, we have got to march on Washington. We have to encamp ourselves in Washington. We have to demand a fundamental change in national priorities. Instead of continuing spending billions of dollars on a war in Vietnam, then we got to invest in housing, in healthcare, in the needs of poor people and working people. What a profound, think about it for a second, what a profound and revolutionary concept that was.
I concur.
And that is the moment that he was killed. And in a sense, that is what we are trying to do today. This is the richest country in the history of the world, okay? And we forget about that. If we're a poor country, you and I have a certain type of discussion. We are the richest country in the history of the world. Do we think it is morally acceptable that 3 people own more wealth than the bottom half of American society? Do we even talk about that issue?
We do not talk about it.
Where is the outrage regarding that? Tonight in America, you got to have 500,000 people sleeping out on the streets.
That is something to be outraged
about. Isn't that unbelievable?
Absolutely.
Today in America, this year in America, 30,000 people are going to die, D-I-E, disproportionately. African American, Latino, poor people in general, because they don't have any health care at all. You ever talk to anybody who said, I can't afford to go to the doctor?
Absolutely, I have. I have 2 friends who have died my high school friends, and I'm a young man, who have died because of lack of health care. My people, I got a call from one of my friends saying, man, your boy Bernie might have something with that healthcare thing. I see he took some people over to Canada to buy. He said, I gotta admit though, you know, both my parents diabetic, and he telling the truth about that.
His parents are diabetic.
His parents are diabetic, and the reason I say that is black people. Like I'm in the gym every morning, I'm trying to get a bank shot like yours because I don't want to get diabetes. I don't want to stifle myself, right? Black people are more disproportionately affected by diabetes than any other group. So when you say diabetes and talking about free health care, I want people who look like me on the other side of the camera to recognize that that is a black issue. And if you don't have the ability to have health care, which isn't just treating it, health care is being able to go early enough to be pre-diagnosed.
It's healthcare is having a lifestyle which prevents disease in the first place, which has to do with nutrition, has to do with decent housing, has to do, by the way, with clean drinking water, and so forth and so on. All right, I think you said it all. I mean, just on this issue of diabetes. When you go to Canada, I don't know, you get to Canada often on your trips?
Yeah, they caught me with a joint one time, but
this is unbelievable. This is what I learned on that trip. Turns out 7.5 million people in this country use insulin. I didn't know that. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
It turns out, this was what's crazy. So we went to Canada and we were able to purchase insulin for 1/10 the price. Same exact product, okay? 1/10 the price. So then we can ask the question, how does that happen in Canada? They pay 10% for insulin and we pay in the United States. That's one issue. Here's the other issue. Of that 7.5 million Americans who are using insulin, it turns out, this is unbelievable, 1/4 of those people are rationing their insulin. You got that? Yeah, that's right. Rationing their insulin. On this trip, and I'll never forget this as long as I live, young guy and his mother, I don't know, or mid-20s. Guy was a former football player, okay, big guy. He lied to his parents when he was in college in telling them that he had enough insulin because he didn't want to put more financial pressure on them, okay? He became sick. When you don't take your insulin, you become sick. And obviously, if you continue doing that, you die. 1/4 of the American people are rationing their insulin. Last year, Mike, the top 10 drug companies made $69 billion in profit. So the issue that we throw out there, the policy issue is the function of healthcare to provide quality care to all, or is it to make huge profits for the drug companies and the insurance companies? If you have a major, say, heart transplant in Canada, a really difficult, expensive procedure, do you know how much you leave the hospital, what kind of bill you leave the hospital with? Do you know?
How much?
Zero.
Nah, I thought a little something in Canada. Zero?
Yeah, I guess they have a parking lot out there, which they charge you for that. That's the major fee is what you have to pay to park your car. Nothing.
Wow.
Okay? You go to any doctor you want to go to. You don't take out your wallet. There are no out-of-pocket expenses, all right? No premiums, no deductibles. And you know what, at the end of all that, Mike? They spend 50% of what we spend per person on healthcare. In this country, we spend about $11,000. They spend about half of that. How's that?
That's amazing. I appreciated what Sister Cardi B said. Right, so people razz you a little for getting hip hop on board, but it's not like you sent out feelers in the hottest clubs. You don't have Bernie Sanders in the compound buying bottles recruiting us. Kids in hip hop come from working class and poor environments. People often talk about paying more in taxes. She and I are probably both of the part that pay about 40 to 60% in taxes a year. She said, I'm willing to pay the taxes I pay. I would just like to see my money go into education.
She's absolutely right.
In America, There Will Be Blood, the movie. That we live that movie, that you can be rich. Well, rich is a long life with your children. My grandparents were never rich, right? They raised 3 successful homeowners. We have never had to go back to them and ask them. That's rich. Rich is being able to spend the time with your family. Rich is not an endless pursuit of money, and I'm a rapper, right? I got on chain and roller.
You know what? I've been trying to say that for several years. And this guy just did it a lot better than I did. Absolutely. I mean, what we are taking on is not just Trump and his policies. It's what he thinks human life is about. And what he thinks human life is, you rob, you steal, you cheat, you step on people. Then you make $1 billion. That's his understanding of what success is in life. And you're talking about a very, very different success. You're right. You love your kids. You have a decent home. You have a decent community. We don't have to step over people who are sleeping on the sidewalk. Our kids got a good education.
I'm willing, like Cardi, to do my part. I would just like to see the money that's placed here, funding things like our military-industrial complex, our private prison complex. I'd like to see that fund pre-K programs as early as 2 years old so that children are readers going into kindergarten. I want to see us be the country that we truly can be, that we've never have been, but truly can be.
Now, I am really pissed off. I got to tell you why. Because you're saying all of this stuff better than I say it. That's what I try to say. That's exactly. You got the whole thing.
Well, you have inspired me.
All right. What you're talking about, what do we mean by wealth? Is wealth just having $1 billion in the bank and living in a society where you can't breathe the air, where the climate change is going to destroy the planet? Is that really wealth? I mean, the Bible tells us something very differently, right? The great thinkers of our time, Dr. King and others, tell us something very different. We are, and this is what I do say all the time, we're the wealthiest country in the history of the world. All of the issues you're talking about. Can we have high quality pre-K?
Yes, absolutely.
Your point is that kids are not going to make it. By the time they get into the first grade, they're already 2 years behind. They can't read, right? Can we address this issue? Yeah, I think we can. Send a guy to the moon. I think we can do that. Can we hire good teachers, good childcare workers? Yes. Yeah, I think we can. Can we strengthen our public schools so that we attract the best and the brightest to teach in our schools? Can we make teaching an honorable and respected profession?
Absolutely.
Okay. Can we do all these things? Healthcare for all. Student debt. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Right now, you got 45 million people, disproportionately African American, by the way. I heard a statistic. It blew me away. For young African Americans, 12 years after they leave school, they are more deeply in debt on average than when they took out that debt in the first place. Is that astounding?
Yeah, it's not astounding to me because these are my friends.
Okay, you see it every day.
Yeah. I just want to let you know, we got your back. Please keep pushing forward for us, and we're going to keep knocking on doors for you. All right.
Forgive me. When I went looking for news, I came across that. I had to watch it with you guys. And you saw me get up a couple times. I apologize for that. I have this wicked cough that I am just now getting over. And I did not want to cough over Bernie and Mike. And it took me forever to get that video to play without glitching. So I had to keep it going. I didn't want to stop. That was my third attempt at recording that. That was what I picked out to watch today for the news. I went to look at news stories and I was like, no, you know what? Let's watch the Killer Mike video. So hopefully you dug that. Real quick, let's do Bernie events. If you want to stay informed on what's going on with the Bernie Sanders campaign and our revolution, text Bernie to 67760. That will enroll you in the texting program. Or you can watch this show every day and I'll tell you what's going on with Bernie and the campaign. Right now, or actually tomorrow, the campaign will be arriving in New Hampshire for 3 days and 9 scheduled events. So they're going to be killing it in New Hampshire all through Labor Day weekend. And that's what the campaign is up to, and we've made it to the end of another episode of the Daily Bern. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and supporting the show. I really appreciate it. If you shared, thank you very much. And if you commented, you are awesome. Because those comments really help. You know, people don't understand a lot of times how the Facebook algorithm works. Any participation in the show helps it do better. So I really appreciate those of you that comment and take part in the show. I wanted to thank everybody. The episode yesterday, the 100th episode, last I checked just now, it was over 600 views. That is the biggest episode yet. So that makes me really happy because I spent a lot of time working on it. So I'm really glad that you guys dug it, and it got over 100 shares. It's crazy. So I really appreciate that, and that's really exciting. Thanks again for stopping by. Thanks for watching the show. I will see you guys again on Monday for a brand new episode. Enjoy your weekend. See you Monday.